Hello.
Hello.
Hi. And welcome to Elevenses. This is Enemies show unpicking Stranger Things 2. You're joined by me, Dan Stubbs. This is Tom Smith.
Hello.
And the first of our many guests today is Larry Bartlett. We've got coming up interviews with the cast. We've got Barb. And as it's Elevenses, we've even got a Stranger Things cake. You've had more than a week to watch the show now. So we expect that, like, as you've binged through all 9 episodes, if you haven't, then be warned, this is the most spoilerific thing you could possibly watch, so do not watch it unless you've finished Stranger Things. Repeat, do not watch this unless you've finished Stranger Things 2. Don't tell us we didn't warn you. So we're going to start off by with a section that we call Biggest Things, where we're discussing the biggest things to happen in this new season. So, biggest things. So, we've been waiting for this season for a mighty long time. Did it disappoint? Did you love it? Did you love it as much as the first?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it was on par, if not maybe a little bit better. I think it's, you know, throughout the whole sort of process of like, oh, it's even bigger, it's even darker, it's even sadder, and you're like, how can it possibly be all of those things at once? But it really was.
And for context, you've been writing about this, well, both of you really, for Enemy for well over a year now. So in terms of anticipation, this was like a sort of mega Christmas that happened when it
But they kept things pretty under wraps because, you know, they're very vague about what was going to happen. And, you know, 3 episodes in, it was just like, I had no idea what was going on, what was going to happen.
Well, I've seen some people kind of saying it was a bit of a slow start. Did you agree with that, do you think?
I don't know. I think, yeah, well, it was. But I think that contextualised a lot of the bigger things that happened later on, so you kind of needed that build-up until it reached these ridiculous big moments. And
it was kind of easing us back into the world of Hawkins, Indiana, which is a lovely place to visit, isn't it? You mentioned there darker, more dangerous, and sadder as well, I thought. So like, this was, I mean, it definitely delivered on all those things, didn't it? It was like, especially, I mean, for the first 4 or 5 episodes, I just thought it was heartbreaking. You had kind of, you know, Mike and Eleven kind of estranged from each other. Yeah. Seemed like there was sadness all around, and we need to talk about poor old Will. Who
had the worst time ever. Really.
He did, yeah. Tell us what happened to Will.
So Will starts out being sort of traumatised and having these weird visions, and then Bob tells him to accept his fate or something, saying, just like telling stuff to go away, and he does, and gets sort of possessed by the mind flayer. And from then on, it just descends into.
So this was when the kind of the shadow monster sort of goes into him, in like the world's worst advert, so anti-smoking advert. We were talking about this earlier, weren't we? One of the amazing things about this season is how great an actor Noah Schnapp, who plays Will, is. He's kind of like, he didn't really get to do a lot in the first season, did he?
Yeah, he just looked very, you know, trapped in the first series. This time around, you know, he's trapped in a very similar way, but he's very, you know, very vivid in his, when he's being possessed and he's shaken. It's actually kind of frightening. He's like really good.
And one of the big talking points this season has been the controversy around episode 7.
Yes.
So I think we've talked about this before, and we all broadly have the same opinion that actually it was a really good episode. But so this was the episode. If you could, Larry, tell us about the lost sister.
So yeah, episode 7 is about 11 going to look for her estranged kind of lab mate. Like, she was kept in prison with Callie, who runs this gang that goes and wreaks revenge on her former captors, and 11 joins them. So it's kind of exploring this new world in Pittsburgh, and seeing like how, you know, how 11 could have turned out, basically, like how she could have become like this vengeful figure. And it's kind of just a counterpoint to her existence in Hawkins, which is much more kind of family based.
She did dabble a little bit though, didn't she?
Yeah.
She went out on that one job and thought, not for me. Not for me, I'm going to go home.
She looked cool though, didn't she, when she punked up?
So yeah, people are saying she looks like Jenny Beth from Savage.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty, I think the idea of it was really great. The fact that it spent, especially if you binged it, you watched 5 or 6 hours and you were just sucked out for an hour to go to, like you said, Pittsburgh. But I think a lot of it was the execution of it in terms of the characters that were introduced, like the sort of knockoff Suicide Squad that rolled around with Callie.
The only one that really bothered me was Punk.
Yeah, he was
I couldn't. Yeah,
He's like the least punk person in the world.
yeah, with these sort of constant references to Shirley Temple.
What year is it?
Yeah, he was bothering me a little bit, but I thought that was great. But people are saying it was kind of a sneaky pilot episode that they've snuck into a season, which apparently is something that TV people do this, hoping you won't notice, and then it's sort of they've just seeded a spin-off show.
Yeah,
I'd be kind of up for that spin-off show, but only really if 11 was in it.
I was more hoping that like Callie would come and help with the situation in Hawkins. So I think maybe she will do next season.
Well, maybe it sets up a different foe. Maybe 11 and 8 are loggerheads. Maybe that turns into...
Yeah, it's a new enemy, yeah. I mean, we mentioned 11 there, but one of the big things in this was 11's return. So it was never kind of explicitly said that she was still alive, although it was strongly hinted at. What did you make of the kind of changes in 11's character this time?
I think it was very, very gradual. Like, I mean, she spent a lot of the first half in Hopper's cabin in the woods, and it was basically like a prisoner. Like, it was for her own good, but like it was hard for her to see that. And and as it went on, and as she reached out to when I met her mother, met Terry, and then went out to meet Callie, and then came back, it was very much a arc of her growing up a little bit and experiencing life out of this cabin and the lab that she's basically spent her entire life in now.
All wrapping up in the long-awaited Mike kiss.
Yes.
But I did read a funny thing. Someone was saying how basically Hopper put her there, sat her in front of the TV for the time, and after a year she still can't speak in full sentences. But he's adopted her now, so fine. And then obviously there was another big thing that's happened this time is there was a lot of dysfunction in the group. So like in the first one, they're real kind of like band of brothers, aren't they? And it all kind of starts falling apart, as often can happen when you're that age and things are changing. And kind of new characters come in and upset the thing. What did you make of the kind of group of, what do they call themselves? The
Musketeers? No, what are they?
Yeah, they do. And then they had another one.
I don't know. Like they did disagree in the first one. So Lucas didn't trust 11 at all, and went off on his own, and then they had to come and find him. But in this one, it's more the arrival of Max that sets them at loggerheads, isn't it? And, like 11 sees Mike with Max and thinks that's something, and then Lucas and Dustin are having sort of competing for her affections, I guess.
And I mean, a lot of the whole series is a lot of it's Dustin's fault. And so like that drives a wedge between like, what are you doing bringing this mad thing into and just keeping it as a pet? Yet
still we like him.
We still love him.
But the thing is, I'm not sure if like that one, like his D'Artagnan, was that like the original one and then it created loads more, or was that one of many?
So and he just happened to find one of them. Yeah, but when it turned out there was more of them, like, I was thinking if I was Dustin, I'd be quite relieved now that although I've done a bad thing, it's not as bad as it could have been because there's loads of them. So what else are we going to talk about? I mean, the ending. We need to talk about the ending there. So what did you make of it? So it was another one of these where it's like, well, it's over, but it's not over. We knew that was going to happen anyway because they'd already started filming a season 3. Yeah,
they're already gearing up for, because they've said they wanted to make it sort of a 4 or 5 season thing. So it's hard to tell unless. So the last scene, obviously, the mind flayer is still sort of hovering and lurking in Hawkins. But I guess it must mean that somewhere down the line that is just never going to go away. Like, there's no reason to keep that monster going unless it, keeps coming back. Maybe in different forms. I think they've got to try and, like say, when they moved out, that was quite an important episode. Because I don't know if they can do another 10 episodes, just these kids running around Hawkins trying to unfix a problem that they made.
Well, for some reason their parents never kind of wonder where they are.
I know, that's crazy. It's just like, oh, he's just been gone for like 6 hours and it's pitch black, but I don't know where he is.
Sleepovers you can pretend to be at when you're
I mean, a lot of negligent parenting, I think.
Now, we mentioned that the Max thing sort of upsetting the Lucas-Dustin dynamic. There was a lot of love triangles in this one. So we had the kind of Nancy, Steve and Jonathan, which carried on. Still not quite sure where that all ends up. And there was one with Joyce, Hopper and Bob, obviously, which is kind of brewing, isn't it? Did you kind of... these kind of love triangles are coming to define the show as much as anything, I think, aren't they? Who are you shipping out of the Nancy situation?
Jonathan, I guess. Steve's not really the same person he was,
Yeah.
is he?
I think he's better now.
Steve
Yeah,
is the hero of the
nice,
show,
yeah.
always. So one of the big talking points has been Steve and Dustin's bromance, isn't it? What did you make of that little?
I think it was great. They were the two, if they were on screen, I was most looking forward to seeing again.
Right.
Just like when they're going out in the woods trying to catch, like the way he was sort of dragged in, Dustin dragged Steve into the whole situation, like, just bring your bat, you're going to help me fix
I
this.
love that he still had that bat as well, but I guess, it's worth keeping around.
And he gave him the hair tips as well.
Well, as someone who, has slightly Dustin-y hairdo, have you thought about getting some Farrah Fawcett hairspray in?
Absolutely not.
Well, we're going to move on to, we've got a clip of some interviews that we did with the stars of Stranger Things 2. Larry, you did these interviews. You did the cover feature that we did with the stars, the whole cast. What did you make of them? So these are kids who are thrust into this kind of like insane level of fame at such a young age.
Yeah.
Were they a complete nightmare?
Well, I met 3 of them. So I met Noah, who plays Will, Gayton, who plays Dustin, and Caleb, who plays Lucas. And the latter 2, so Caleb and Gayton, were on Broadway when they were like 10 years old, and they seemed much less awed by the experience of fame, and also they seem really level-headed. Like, they all go to school, like all of them go to school still. They're all kind of aware of like how fame could screw them up, I think.
Yeah.
All their parents are. So their parents came to the interviews as well, and they were kind of pitching in with answers to questions.
Did you meet them? So you met their parents?
Yeah, or their mums.
Right.
And
just the mums, so it's like in the show where they...
Yeah, absent fathers. Yeah. But yeah, they were all really interesting. Like, Gayton was quite grown up and much like serious, and
really?
Yeah, you kind of wouldn't expect maybe, but he was kind of a bit sarcastic. And
so Gayton plays Dustin.
Yeah,
who's the one you'd expect to be the most kind of madcap one.
Yeah. Lucas, so Caleb, who plays Lucas, he was the kind of goofiest, and he was like, by the end of the day, so I interviewed him in the morning and then in the afternoon. By the afternoon, he was sort of just like doing this on his chair, like kind of getting bored.
Did you take offence at this?
No. I was just like, well, he's like 14, 15 years old, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And Noah was just like really, I don't know, excited by everything, I think.
And one of the weird things was, because I remember in the piece, they'd all been out, I think, the night before, one of them had met Sadiq Khan, and you talked about this, and he was just sort of, what was his reaction?
Yeah, so Caleb had swapped shoes with Sadiq Khan. They did this like Strangers Things stunt at the GQ Awards, and the publicist told me this, that he'd swapped shoes with Sadiq Khan, and Caleb was like, who's that?
There you are. Bigger than Sadiq Khan, almost undoubtedly. So let's have a look at the stars of Stranger Things 2, talking about the new season.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey guys.
So today we're gonna be talking about 3 new things in the 2nd season. I'm Noah Schnapp.
Caleb.
And I'm Gaten.
Number 3. You should like edit like a 3
3
like
on the corner.
Like, yeah, like a 3 goes up in the corner. Well, there's gonna be new characters in season 2, which is gonna be really exciting. They definitely add a new dynamic to the whole story, especially Sadie Sink's character Max, who has a cool relationship with the kids. So I'm excited for people to see that.
Number 2. Ding. Oh yeah. I'm gonna be in this season a little bit more than the first.
A little bit more.
And it's
a lot more.
And it's a very exciting season, but it's a lot darker too.
Well,
Ding.
Barb's dead.
Oh.
But there will be justice, but she's dead. I'm
Dead.
sorry.
Confirmed.
Sorry, not sorry.
Gone.
Dead.
Dead.
Ripped apart.
Gone. Passed away.
Away. Never coming back.
Gone.
Mm-hmm.
Words of 11.
I'm hungry too.
Gone. What?
Well, eagle-eyed viewers will have noticed that Larry has turned into Hannah.
Hello.
Who's joining us in our very own version of the Upside Down here for the next section, which is called New Things. So, in this bit, we're talking about the new characters that have joined the season and what we made of them. So, we've got to start off really with Max, or Max, who's played by Sadie Sink. Fans were a bit wary of Max before she came in. They thought, do we need this person? And on paper, seemed like a bit of a kind of a stereotype, kind of tomboy character. What do we make of her in reality?
I thought she was a badass.
Yeah, I think she added a bit of energy to the group.
Yeah, she did two things that Bart Simpson does to show that he's a badass, which is ride a skateboard around and do really well at video games in an arcade. So she follows the 80s method of being a badass. People are saying that maybe she didn't serve enough of a purpose, though. She sort of really was just there to upset things a little bit. Do you think that?
Yeah, I think sort of ruffle some feathers.
But I thought it was kind of, that's what I liked about her and her stepbrother, that they added a human element of drama which might not have been there otherwise. So yeah, she might not have added loads, but she kind of, I don't know, I thought they made it all more human, kind of was a reminder that, yeah, they are all actually kids.
We'll talk about the brother in a minute, yeah.
I was convinced that her and her brother were spies for about 6 episodes. Like, they were so shifty that, like, the whole, like, we haven't chosen to be here. And I was like, well, why? Why haven't you chosen to be? I know how it turns out, but just the way they spoke to each other, and then when she was like, you need to tell me what's happened, I need to know all the inside goss, I was like, that's awfully pushy. I know you want to be part of the group, but yeah, I was very suspicious. Did we ever see her
kind of like, so she got kind of a hard time from 11. They never really sort of patched that up though, did they?
Yeah, I didn't like that bit.
Yeah, I mean, 11 showed some kind of, she turned into a bit of a problem teen in this season, didn't she?
She was really mean.
She was
really mean.
But it's quite unusual in a series like this to kind of not resolve that sort of stuff and give us some sort of kind of a sense that, you know, she made it up with her or something. But
no,
really
it was just a bit unnecessary, I think.
Yeah. So you just mentioned Maxie's brother, Billy, so he's played by Dacre Montgomery.
Yeah.
What a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not really much more to say about him, is there?
Yeah.
But, so they styled him on Rob Lowe's character in St Elmo's Fire, and I think there's probably a kind of comparison photo we can look at here, which shows quite how good a job they did.
Yeah.
But at first he seems like a sort of Levi's eyed beefcake, and then he's a racist actually. So
I know.
Yeah.
That was just. It was mad. It was just. He was just a bully basically.
Yeah.
He was just.
It facilitated Steve becoming a hero.
Yes.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. And it was good having him as a bully again, because like he brought a drama which wasn't like, oh, look at all these monsters going on. It was just like, yeah, people can just be hideous people.
Who's the real monster, Hannah? That's the question, isn't it? So we had Carly, who we've talked about already. So that's Eleven's sister.
Yeah.
She has a power where she can kind of make people believe that something's happening, even though it's not quite as good as Eleven's power, is it?
I think the first scene of the whole series was one of the best opening scenes I've seen in TV shows in so long.
Agreed.
It just came out of nowhere. I just wasn't expecting that to be her power. I thought they all had the same powers, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she was a really great addition, and I think it's obvious that she's just going to be a bigger part of it as it goes on. But it was a very good way to set up her arc and the whole Hawkins kids vibes.
Which power would you choose, Hannah? Telekinesis or mind control?
I think mind control.
Really?
I think it's better.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're wrong, but Bob. Good old Bob.
Good old Bob.
Now, Hannah's not actually finished this, and we broke it to her earlier on what happens to Bob, and
I wasn't impressed.
you weren't impressed with
I was just going to leave work and take the day off in the morning.
So, I mean, as much as you thought Max was a spy, Max and Billy were spies, I thought that Bob was evil, and apparently a lot of people did. So the Duffers have said about this, Matt and Duffer said, I wasn't aware of it until people started to watch, but we heard that people were thinking this guy was going to turn out evil, and I was shocked by it. It's almost like he was too nice. We didn't want to trick anyone. He was just supposed to be a bit of a dork, but lovable and smart. See, I definitely thought he had a bad side to him.
Oh, he was so lovable.
He was lovely, wasn't he? He was a dork, and he was smart.
Great.
He's a crucial character as well.
And R.I.P. Bob.
Yeah.
And there is that thing with kind of the sort of love triangle with Hopper and Joyce, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I also read an interesting thing earlier on where people were saying, did Hopper send him to his death?
Your theory of it is great.
It's not a matter of right. People are saying this. So Hopper just kind of sends him off into. He says, "Have you ever fired a gun?" He says, "No." Take that
there
then.
You go.
Like, yeah. There's just bang, 1, 2, 3, safety off. Press that.
Bob.
He was never going to get out of there, was he? I mean, there was one Demogorgon in the entire first season, and they struggled with that enough.
So who would you rather be guarding you? So they sent Bob off to go do the coding. Would you rather have Hopper protecting you or Bob? So in that instance, I'd rather have Hopper, and I would say bye-bye to Bob.
Hopper, yeah. Hopper's a very reassuring presence in these things.
He is.
Yeah.
He's like...
Yeah.
the one in charge.
All Bob was left with, of course, was our next character we're going to talk about, which is Dr. Owens, played by Paul Reiser. Another big kind of 80s face. They like to get these kind of... and we didn't mention, of course, that Sean Astin was in The Goonies, which the Duffer Brothers are big fans of, and there was a nice little reference to it, wasn't there? When he was marked the spot on the map. Dr. Owens.
Yes.
So, he replaced Dr. Brenner. Undoubtedly not as much of an arsehole as Dr. Brenner.
No.
He's sort of the friendly face of evil science. But he was the one who was trying to guide Bob out there. I just thought that seems like an insanely difficult game to be playing, trying to work out where the corridors are off different security cameras.
I think they've been watching those cameras a lot.
Yeah. What do we make of him? Because we used to kind of the authorities being the kind of the evil ones in these things, and here he was. He wasn't exactly a good guy, but he wasn't exactly a bad guy either. I
think they could be setting him up for season 3 to be like, actually, he's really, really bad.
Oh, really?
So, they've kind of made him be like, oh, you know, well, I'm going to threaten you a little bit, but with a smile, so it's all fine. Oh, we're all getting along. Oh, you know, I didn't send all of you to your death. And then it'll be season 3. They'll be like, damn. And then he's going to do something to them.
I mean, it was obviously deliberately misleading, because you did think at first, oh, he's trying to help. And you'd be like, why is he doing this? And then he keeps going back and forth. So, yeah, I'm not really sure of his intentions. I'm inclined to agree with you that maybe it's all just a face. Just to
set it all in.
So we did get that kind of chummy scene between him and Hopper at the end. Yeah. A friend of Hopper's is a friend of ours, I think.
Yeah.
Two to talk about the big bads. So Demodogs first.
Yes.
Keep one as a pet.
No, not after it killed that cat. That was the worst scene I've seen so far when that cat died. Gutted.
There were only 2 deaths in this season, weren't there? There was Bob and the cat, which I can't remember the name of the cat, but rest in peace. And the Mind Flayer, of course. So do we like the Mind Flayer? It struck me as if anyone's been to Glastonbury probably got sort of flashbacks to a bad night in Arcadia. It was like the spider that sort of...
Trip gone wrong, isn't it?
Yeah. There was no DJ in the inside of it though, so...
No, I think it was quite good. Like, the way they said, oh, it is going to be bigger, they literally meant it's going to be the size of the entire town. And it sort of had elements of the Demogorgons from the first series, but it just pointed at an ultimately way scarier entity than they were last year. So I think they pulled it off in terms of having that fear factor.
And the Duffers have kind of talked about the Demogorgon from the first one being the equivalent of the shark from Jaws, in that it kind of pops out and then goes back to its watery lair, or the upside down in this case. This one, the idea was it's kind of a sentient creature that you don't know exactly what its motives are, but there's something that kind of is a thinking evil, and it definitely seems like that's going to be a big problem in season 3, doesn't it? Yeah.
So the Demogorgons last time seemed pretty tame in comparison.
I know, not that bad.
Like this one can literally possess you.
Do you think Demogorgons keep the Demodogs as pets, or sort of take them out for
walks? I don't really know the hierarchy of the upside down monsters.
I thought the Demodogs could upgrade, as it were, evolve into the Demogorgon. I thought that was like the final stage that they'd go to.
So we promised a cake. And Hannah, you spent some time yesterday.
Some time.
This is your sort of audition for the Great British Bake Off, isn't it?
I'm not going to get on. So I attempted to make Castle Byers.
So it comes from this book, which is... Tell us about this book. Hilariously by the Muffin Brothers.
By the Muffin Brothers. It's called Strange Feelings, and it's just a range of cakes inspired by the show. So I thought I would pick one of the most difficult, which wasn't my best idea, and I kind of very much overestimated how good I was at cooking. So I tried to make Castle Byers out of cake, and it kind of... It'll do. I tried.
There we are. Now.
Yeah.
Tell us about
Tell us
about how easy it was to make this Castle Byers, should the viewers want to do their own at home.
It's not easy. Use your own cake recipe, because the cake was about that high.
Right.
Not flat. So I spent quite a long time like sawing the top off to make it flat. Then they tried to make you make your own fake soil using this really difficult method. So I just crumbled up the leftover cake crumbs.
Right. Resourceful.
Yeah, you know, thinking on my feet. You have to paint ice cream wafers with food colouring and then cut them up to make fake leaves. My housemates do think I'm absolute mental. Like, coming down at 2 o'clock in the morning, like, what are you doing? Just painting some ice cream wafers. It's fine, go back to bed.
I think the results speak for themselves.
What did you end up using? So you've got, what have you got on there? You've got an Oreo, that's a tyre, obviously.
That's meant to be a tyre.
You got some matchsticks, and then what have you used for this?
I feel like this isn't edible, Hannah. I've got to say this
They
looks
told
like
you to
paper
buy.
to me.
They told you to buy rice paper.
Right.
So I just used a receipt.
Resourceful again.
Yeah. I think this deserves a ripple of applause anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you very much.
So, we are going to move on to fan things. This is a bit we're calling fan things. And we're going to, before we do that, Alex, who's going to be joining us, he went down to the opening of the Upside Down and Stranger Things bits that they've opened up in the Topshop in London on Oxford Street. And spoke to some of the fans there about what they were expecting from season 2. So let's have a quick look at that. And Hannah, you'll magically transform into Alex while this is playing, won't you? Let's have a look.
So we just watched the first 2 episodes of Stranger Things, season 2. It's awesome. It's exciting. Are you liking it?
I'm a huge fan anyway, so it's good to know that it's like lived up to its previousness.
I love the focus on Barb.
Oh, I love Barb. Like, she's probably my favourite character. I'm really sad that she's not like in it more, but maybe we'll see more of her. Yeah.
Well, like in the first season, she like spoilers, but like in the first season, she just like died, and then no one cared. Like no one said a thing about it.
You kind of really feel sorry for her.
Yeah, because she was awesome.
We've just watched Stranger Things season 2, and we thought it was really good. We really liked just even the first episode, the first intro, where we got to meet another like person that's close to sort of 11, number 8. So that was really interesting.
Who would you say your new favourite character is?
Oh, definitely Max Shemai. Definitely Max. She's really cool. If I was, I don't know how old they are, if I was a 14-year-old boy, I'd be like, Max, be my friend, please. She's sick.
My favourite character is Mike. I'm not sure, I just think he's really quirky.
Ooh, I like Max. I think she's
the
cool.
same. I'm intrigued about, I think it's her brother, isn't
Billy,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm intrigued about him. Like, he's probably got a deeper backstory that they haven't gone into yet. But
they will. Yeah.
So, fan things. We're going to talk about some of the big fan theories about this season.
I just have to say first that the transformation is complete.
Right.
From Hannah.
So you are now
Alex Flood from Enemy.
Alex Flood from Enemy. Fan theories are obviously one of the kind of the best things about the internet.
Yeah.
Agree?
I think we can agree. Yeah.
Yeah. The big ones on this. So we're going to start off with. Well, actually, we'll start off with my favourite one, which is a Bob theory.
Yeah.
Tell us the Bob theory.
So the Bob theory is basically that throughout the series you sort of get to learn only little tidbits about Bob's past. But when he's in the car in one of the episodes, he talks about something that haunted him as a child. And it turns out it was a big clown. And so he also came from Maine, didn't he?
Yeah. And he's giving this advice to Will, because Will's like really concerned that he's being possessed by this evil demon. He thinks possibly that might be bad, which it turns out to be definitely it is. But he gives Will this advice that he had this recurring dream about a clown called Mr. Baldo.
Yeah.
One of the worst clown names I think I've heard. And he basically comes and offers him a balloon in a nightmare he used to have. And he tells Will that the clown didn't start going away, Mr. Baldo, until he just stood up to him and said him to go away. And so he tells Will that he should do that to this nightmare that he's having.
Yeah.
Which turns out to be the worst advice ever, because he does try and stand up to it, and then the mind flayer possesses him.
Yeah.
And he goes into sort of like a whole new world of hell. But so...
it wasn't Bob's fault, though. He didn't think he thought he was being helpful, didn't he? He realised there was actual supernatural shit going on in the place. Yeah.
But so the fan theory is that Bob is in fact a Pennywise survivor, so that Stranger Things and Stephen King's It share the same universe. Because obviously at the start of Stephen King's It, Pennywise offers a balloon to the child, and he then gets murdered by Pennywise.
Yeah.
And so they think this is similar in that Bob, in the 50s, which works as well because he would have been a kid in the 50s when it is set, that he survived a Pennywise attack. Yeah.
It's
Gotta watch out for those Pennywise attacks.
It does make sense because the Duffer Brothers are very vocal about their admiration for Stephen King and his work.
Yeah.
And so it'd just be a little, nod to Stephen King. They said they've been in contact with him actually as well.
Well, they
sometimes send little pen pal messages over to Stephen King. So this would be a nice way of incorporating a Stephen King universe and character, but in a very subtle way. Even the font they use at the start of the show is the It font, isn't it? Yeah. And apparently, so there's an explanation as well why Bob sort of, maybe he wasn't really called Mr. Baldo.
Yeah.
Because it's explained in the book apparently that as the kids grow older, you sort of forget what happened to you, so it becomes this kind of distant, hazy memory, which would explain why maybe he was telling them this as if it was a dream. I think that this is true. What do you think?
I think it totally checks out, especially the sort of time period. As in, Bob would have been a kid in the 50s when it's set. The balloon and the clown, that's sort of too much of a convenience for it not to be like something the Duffer Brothers thought about.
So, next theory. So we're deciding that's true.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Next theory is the Mind Flayer #1.
So this one goes that throughout the series we learned that there are at least 11 kids that have been tested on. In season 1 we saw like a brief glimpse of a picture of 5 of them, and in this series we meet number 8, which is Callie. So the theory goes that the Mind Flayer is actually the very first test subject, the very first child. Generated this, so they were in Hawkins' lab as well. They were tortured on and tested, and they created this alternative reality to escape this horrible world. But they became so powerful, they sort of inhabited it, and now they're left there. And so that means that the Upside Down was created by the very first test subject, and thus #1 is the big scary monster.
One of the interesting things about this is that everyone refers to this Mind Flayer as it, apart from Will, who calls him he. He says he likes it cold, and so he kind of like that sort of personifies this monster a bit more. I think maybe it's a human, and he's the only one who has like a connection.
He's the closest to it. So if you're going to trust anyone, then Will, who was literally a part of it.
This is kind of one of the first fan theories that gets a bit more complex and kind of it's not based on like fact and actual things that are happening. It's sort of it's a bit tenuous, but I don't know, maybe it's true.
People have had a deep think on this one.
This is a pure Reddit deep dive into especially that last scene.
And then so the other one we're going to talk about is this idea that numbers 1 to 5 are MK Ultra kids.
Yeah. So in the
nothing to do with Milton Keynes.
Absolutely nothing.
There's
nothing magical about Milton Keynes. The MK Ultra it's a real life project in the 50s, 60s, and 70s by the US government, the CIA. They were trying to develop telekinetic weapons for the Cold War to spy on Russians. So there were a lot of test subjects. In the first series, we see a picture of numbers 1 to 5 with Dr. Brenner, and they are referred to as the MK Ultra kids. So that part seems to fit together. What it goes on to sort of suggest is that both of Eleven's parents were part of group 1 to 5. So we know that her mother was, we know that Terry was a part of it, and it didn't help her much. But because Eleven's just so powerful, there has to be another influence in there. So they're sort of suggesting that part of the other 5 must be her father. So her father isn't Dr. Brenner, who she calls Papa. It kind of establishes why she seems to be so much more powerful than 8, it seems.
So Tom was saying that it's all real.
Yeah, but I think that the most important thing that we should focus on here that's interesting to me is Terry, who's Eleven's mum, and she's kind of been in this trance, literally in this chair like this, sort of mouthing nonsense for years now. And obviously in series 2, 11 goes to meet her, and she kind of meets her in the Upside Down. That's how she makes contact. And in the Upside Down,
in a room very much like this.
Yeah.
She's actually going to pop by for a guest spot soon, isn't she?
But so 11 approaches her in the Upside Down, and then she reacts, and she's kind of one of the only characters to sort of react properly to Eleven when she's in those sort of trance-like states in the really dark part of the Upside Down. So I think she might actually be the person who created the whole Upside Down when it all sort of all went wrong. So this is my own personal fan theory, but I think because she seems just as powerful as Eleven in this Upside Down world, that she sort of in her rage at Eleven being taken from her, she's sort of gone into a very like mad state and ripped apart the canvas of time and space and created the Upside Down.
Well,
better trademark.
It's very much worth, if you're looking forward to season 3, keep an eye on these fan theories, because last time round when we were waiting for season 2, the Duffer Brothers said that basically everyone had guessed what was going to happen via fan theories.
Right.
So they're pretty much saying that eventually one of the plot lines and these theories will be proven true. So it's just worth digging deep into the internet, into fan forums, because
Reddit notifications set up.
Yeah, Reddit, and go deep on Twitter, everything like that, because you might work out the ending.
And enemy,
of course.
And I mean, the Duffers have said that the MK Ultra thing is an inspiration on the whole storyline as well. So yeah, there's probably something in that. So that was the bit we called fan things. Up next, we are gonna do further things, which is for people who are bereft. Are you bereft? Bereft by this?
You look bereft.
Yeah, pretty bereft.
Yeah. This is some stuff that you can watch next. So some recommendations, and Alex, you're going to stick around and give some recommendations.
Yeah.
But first, actually, I think we'll go to see a video from Barb.
Our friend Barb, aka Shannon Purser.
Shannon Purser, to give her a real name.
Yeah.
She's more than just Barb, isn't she? So you spoke to Barb. Tell us about that.
I did. So it was at this Topshop Stranger Binge event where fans could go on the day that it was released and sit in a room with loads of sort of Stranger Things paraphernalia. A visit from Barb, Shannon Purser herself, and they would watch basically the whole of Stranger Things 2 back to back in 24 hours.
Right.
And it's part of this sort of big Netflix phenomenon around called binge racing, where fans of basically any TV series are trying to race each other to see who can binge watch these series faster.
Right.
But yeah, so Barb's there. I went to speak to her, and
Sounds like something your mum wouldn't like. Square eyes. That's what people used to say about that. So now we celebrate it.
I'd like to say that Shannon Purser is a lot cooler than her character Barb in Stranger Things. She's got a nose ring, she's got tattoos, all things that Barb would, I think, frown upon.
To impress you.
Yeah, impress me.
So let's have a look at Barb. Tell us about what to watch next.
Hi everybody, my name is Shannon Purser. I played Barb in Stranger Things, and here are 5 other TV shows that you should binge watch after you're done watching season 2, which comes out right now. Number 1, Making of a Murderer. If you like true crime stories, this one will kind of blow your mind. There are lots of twists and turns, and it's a documentary, which I know most people think is boring, but it's actually really well made and it'll draw you in. Number 2 is Riverdale. Obviously, I'm a little biased. I'm on Riverdale, but I think it's great. It's full of teen angst and drama and underage tomfoolery, and I think you'll enjoy it. Number 3 is The OA, which I think you will love if you're into, how to describe it? It's kind of a spiritual experience, but it's this really beautiful story about a woman who claims to be sort of from another planet, and it's up to you to decide if she is or not. Number 4 is Mindhunter, which is a drama series starring Jonathan Groff about the people who study psychopaths and serial killers and try to make connections between all of them. So it's really fascinating. It even includes real serial killers from real life and sort of dramatizes them and talks about them. And I've been really addicted to that one lately. Then number 5 is Daredevil. If you love superheroes and morally ambiguous, attractive men, you will love this show.
So, Alex, before you head off and get a nose ring and a tattoo, do you want to do this bit? So, further things. So, tell us what to watch next. So, people have just watched Stranger Things 2. Maybe they've watched it twice.
I've had plenty of time.
So, I've had a scout around sort of the deep recesses of my watching history in my brain and come up with a few TV series to watch next, and a few films actually as well that kind of have the same sort of kind of humour, same sort of themes around, and the same sort of focus on kids a lot of the time, because that's a lot of the sort of the big 80s sci-fi blockbusters focused on the main characters. So the first one I want to talk about is The OA, which I know both of you have watched.
I've seen bits of it.
I watched a bit of it. I couldn't get into it.
And of course we did the cover with Britt Marling, the star and co-creator. That was about 6 months ago, something like that, wasn't it? So basically the premise is, after 7 years missing, adopted daughter and previously blind Prairie, played by Britt Marling, returns home, now in her 20s. She calls herself OA now, not Prairie, which, as you know, is not a proper name. And she has scars on her back, and it's clear that something bad has happened to her. And then the mystery unfolds from there as to what it is.
Okay. If you don't like that, obviously you can watch the OC instead.
Oh yeah, very similar. Yeah.
Is excellent.
I think it's great because it's mysterious, it's mind-bending, and it's a bit of a thriller too. And it's got that sort of mysterious Stranger Things vibe about it that fans of Stranger Things will love.
Cool. Is it a bingeable kind of thing?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is it
straight up?
Should it be watching like 2-3 goes max?
Yeah, the maximum. Okay. Yeah, definitely. And it's quite hard to stop watching it because, like I say, it's got this thriller element, which is really compelling, and you'll grow to love all these new characters.
And it's a good one to get into as well because there is a season 2 coming up, I think, isn't there?
Yes,
so you've already reduced the weight for season 2 if you watch it now. Yeah.
We should say it's on Netflix. It's Netflix production, and season 2 has been confirmed, but then they're saying it's coming soon. They haven't said when. The first season dropped last December with no sort of fanfare, so expect maybe next month we get season 2.
Cool. And the next one is also on Netflix. It's also coming back for a new season soon.
It is indeed.
What is it?
It is Charlie Brooker's sci-fi anthology series Black Mirror. I know we're all fans of that enemy, definitely. But to explain, it centres around dark and satirical themes that comment on our society, modern society. So you've got, in the latest series, which is season 3, you've got an episode about the dangers of social media. You've got an episode about virtual reality video games gone awry. And you've also, our favourite, I think, San Junipero, which is a romance set in a town with a simulated reality where the elderly and deceased people can go to live on as their younger selves.
Excellent. Okay. You've gone for a film next, I believe.
I have indeed. It is The Goonies, made in 1985, which I think, if you liked Bob...
Can you do an impression of Chunk?
I don't think I'm...
Truffle Shuffle?
Not great. What about you, Dan?
Not on camera.
So I think if you liked Bob in Stranger Things 2, you'll enjoy watching a young Sean Astin in The Goonies. And so to recap the plot, I'm sure you've seen it, Dan.
Of course, many times. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think it's one of these that when I watched it when I was a kid, I don't think I followed the plot in the slightest bit. Like, well, it's one of those I've watched in later life and thought, well, I have no idea why. Because there's that bit with the pirate ship, and it's like, where are they meant to be at that point? But when you're a kid, you don't really bother, do you?
Going back,
oh, now they're on a pirate ship. It's fine.
Going back and rewatching it, I realised there's actually quite a lot of slapstick humour in there that I didn't resonate with me at the time, that I now find hilarious. So I think kind of my humour's gone backwards a bit. But yeah, so it's a comedy adventure about a band of kids from the Goondogs area of Oregon in America, which is obviously where the Goonies comes from. Right. And they attempt to save their home from demolition.
I never knew that fact.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I'm bringing you the best of the internet since 2002. So yeah, they attempt to save their home from demolition by an expanding country club, I think it is, which is a strange premise in itself. But in this quest to save their home, they discover a map which shows the location of legendary pirate One-Eyed Willie's buried treasure. And again, the story unfolds from there. I won't spoil too much now. But it's got, again, the focus on these kids as the main characters, which is a lot like Stranger Things. The humour is quite similar, and it's not as dark as Stranger Things 2 by any stretch of the imagination, but you will enjoy it.
I have enjoyed it many times. Another one next, which is, so this is another big one for me when I was a kid.
Yeah,
the record's right here.
The record, the soundtrack there. Tell us what it is.
It's Gremlins, 1984, comedy horror. I didn't know this actually, but a story by Steven Spielberg, executive producer. So he didn't direct it, but it's another one of these sort of 80s classics that's come from the mind of Steve.
And there's a lot of, we're going to talk about this actually in a bit where we talk about the references, but there's a lot of Gremlins in Stranger Things too, isn't there?
And we're sort of getting into the prime time to watch this as well, because it is a bit of a Christmas film, isn't it?
Totally a Christmas film.
So, you know, November, it's basically Christmas, isn't it? You can watch Gremlins.
I suppose so.
Immediately.
Yeah. And for the final one, you were going to talk about...
It. Stephen King's It, but not the remake. But of course you should go and see the remake.
Yeah.
But I think the mini-series from 1990 deserves a bit of love as well.
Yeah.
Because for me, it still has the definitive performance of Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown. Bill Skarsgård is good, but he's not Tim Curry. I think you'd agree, Dan?
No, I think this one is scarier. But then I watched it when I was a kid, so maybe that's... this is like my It.
Yeah. And so just to recap a bit, the story is these group of kids fight off an evil demon clown, Pennywise, and then return, I think it's 20 years later, as adults to get rid of it again. So it's kind of like getting two stories at once. But originally it was a mini-series in the 2 parts. It's almost 4 hours long, I think, if you try and watch it as one cohesive film. It's scarier than Stranger Things. So if Stranger Things didn't sort of creep you out enough, you can go on to It, the original 1990.
There we are. That's everyone's weekends taken care of.
Yeah, and Christmas as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Alex. So you're going to magically morph back into Larry to the last sections of the show. Before we do that, while we do that, are you ready to morph?
Yep.
We're going to clip to another video, so here we are.
Hi, I'm Shannon. I played Barb in Stranger Things, and right now I am looking at Stranger Things / Barb tattoos, and I'm very afraid. So let's see what we've got. Oh my god! That's me! What? Why would somebody put my face on their body? Wow. But that's a good likeness though, I feel. It's got like my strange oval chin. The hair is down. So this is a good interpretation, I feel. And I have several tattoos. I love tattoos. So no judgment, do it. Oh, this is really cool. Kind of has like the Demogorgon in the background, ominous, creepy. It's got the ginger hair, which is like my thing. Oh, and like the little plaid collar from the little dorky t-shirt she wears all the time. Oh no, that's actually pretty cool. And then I feel like I'm on a milk carton. This is great. I know, I remember like back in the day, they used to have like missing kids on milk cartons, which is funny. And yeah, that's me. Barbara Holland, age 17. Last seen leaving Hawkins High School in a blue VW. Keep an eye out. This one I think is my favorite. Because it's kind of like the other tattoos, but this one has like, I think the shading on the hair is great. There's some highlights in there. It's good work. The Demogorgon also has the hoop earring, the little ruffles. I mean, I obviously would never get a tattoo of myself on myself, but if I did, this would probably be it.
So this is the part of the show which we're calling Familiar Things, and this is the pop culture references in this season. So it's one of the great things about Stranger Things, especially for people of approximately my age, sort of recognising things from your childhood that have been subtly or not so subtly referenced. And we reckon we picked out quite a lot in this season. There's a big blog going through all of these on NME, isn't there? But we're going to go through some of the most important ones. Larry is back to talk to it. So what's the first one, Larry?
First one is Ghostbusters. Clearly, from all of the promo shots from the season, they're all dressed up in Ghostbuster kits.
And there's that great bit with the bikes, isn't there? Where like da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Anyone who didn't do that when they were a kid is no friend of mine.
And then they realised that no one else was dressing up.
Yeah, sad. That's a really sad moment, isn't it? Sort of coming of age, not coming of age.
Yeah.
But yeah, also Dustin using his. I don't know what it's called in Ghostbusters, but like the trap
thing. Yeah, I don't know what that's called either. Yeah.
Yeah, but he puts Dart in there when he first finds him.
And Dart takes us on to the second big reference. So
yes, Gremlins.
Gremlins again. Yeah. So we already talked about Gremlins, but there's the whole thing about. In fact, the Duff Brothers have talked about this, haven't they? Where they sort of said. That was their first idea, a boy and his monster, Dustin finding a creature that will grow. That was their kind of start point for this season. So it was one of the kind of the first thing on their tick list of things to do. But so the comparison there is, so you've seen Gremlins, right?
Yeah. So like sort of this cute little creature that you feed and do the wrong things to, and then it turns into a monster.
Do you know the rules just in case?
Yeah. So don't feed it after midnight.
Yeah.
Don't put it in the light.
Yeah.
And then the other one.
Don't get it wet.
Don't get it wet. Right.
Yeah. Good advice there, everyone. The next thing that we're going to talk about. So this was a really big film of the year. So remember, it's set in 1984 this season.
Yeah.
I believe this
came out in April that year or something.
Yeah.
I think.
And Gremlins and Ghostbusters actually came out. Pretty sure they came out on the same day.
Right.
In June. I think it was like June 8th, 1984.
What a day.
What a day that was.
So this one is the second of the Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
What we thought of at the time was a trilogy, but actually they made more.
It's a trilogy.
Yeah.
And this is Temple of Doom.
Yes. So there's lots of little bits in this that are cited. So when Hopper gets rescued from the tunnels, and he picks up his hat. That's kind of he's got a fedora like Indiana Jones. Then when Will is being exercised in the last episode, and Nancy sticks a poker into him, that's similar to when Short Round puts a torch against Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And kind of wakes him up from this
from the trance. Yeah.
And then there's one you noticed, which is Max driving around with a block on her foot. That's another one. Which Short Round does the same thing.
In Shanghai or wherever it is. Yeah. Big. So we talked a lot about Stephen King already, but a big Stephen King film was Stand By Me, and there's some definite kind of visual referencing going on to that, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely in the woods when Steve and Dustin, I think a couple of others join him on walking down the train tracks, looking for this thing that they've unleashed on the town.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so obvious. Like, it's a very subtle, well, not subtle, very obvious nod to their hero Stephen King.
And another, Carrie is Stephen King as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of Carrie in this one. So there wasn't the first one, but obviously there's a comparison there because you've got a character who can make things move. In Carrie, spoiler, it doesn't end well.
It ends much worse in Carrie, doesn't it, than in Stranger Things.
But well, we don't know how it ends yet.
Well,
but in this one, you definitely get more of a sense of the kind of this kind of young character having power beyond what they can control.
Yeah.
Which he has something what the Duffer Brothers have described it as a psychic tantrum.
Yeah. It's great. Phrase, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's the bit where she is, she's in the house and she kind of all the windows shatter and all that kind of stuff. Aliens is a big one.
Yeah. So Paul Reiser is Dr. Owens, as you talked about already. He plays a similar character in this as he does in Aliens. This kind of sort of bureaucratic. You're not really sure of their intentions.
Imagine if you were typecast as that role.
You get two roles every 30 years.
Yeah. So a bureaucrat, you're not sure about their intentions. Just the guy.
But yeah, all of the sort of corridors in the lab when the Demodogs are stalking around and Bob's trying to not get eaten.
Yeah.
Kind of sort of Jurassic Park vibes as well. I know it's the wrong area.
The breakers,
the velociraptors.
When they have to reset the power, it's like they use exactly the same line as in Jurassic Park.
And with Alien to Aliens, you had this transition from something where there was one alien stalking people, kind of haunted house scenario. And then in Aliens, it was this kind of warfare scenario where there was just loads of them. And as soon as, there's that big scene where you get the scale of how many demodogs and
the little dots on the little map.
It's very, referential to that. Next one, Warriors, we put down, this is for the controversial episode 7, isn't it? Don't worry, Anna, the cake is safe. Your housemates will eat tonight. So this was a film set in New York. It's actually from 1979, so sort of, but then carries from the 70s as well. But it's about a gang trying to get home to their turf in Coney Island, but it's more the fact that in Carly's kind of sort of the Suicide Squad, you called it.
Yeah, I think it's more of a
sort of this ragtag bunch of sort of 80s
misfits.
off-the-shelf street punks, isn't it?
Yeah. There's obviously nods to both of them. I think they were trying for Warriors and ended up with Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and a bit Lost Boys as well. And especially with Carly's power there, it's very much like how are the maggots you're eating, Michael? So, yeah. And finally, I think it's probably been, this is kind of a subtle reference on the whole season in that people's arcs follow the character arcs from Star Wars a bit.
Yeah.
But there's some specific references to Star Wars in this, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, the bit where Eleven is choking her former captor on the ground, that's very Darth Vader-y.
It's as Darth Vader as it gets. It's as Darth Vader as mouth breathing. And, chopping hands off. A lot of times since I saw it. Does he do that? That's the Emperor,
he gets it done to him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's obviously St. Elmo's Fire as well, which is the character Billy is basically based on Rob Lowe's character in that film, all the way down to the looks. So
and the name.
Yeah.
So they've done another one there. Those Duther brothers, what are they like?
They are like film nerds, as are we. And then we're almost, I know this has been kind of a marathon already, we're almost at the end of this, but we're going to do the very important stuff, which is talk about season 3 and the big questions we're left with at the end of Stranger Things 2. So just to so they have confirmed season 3?
Yes.
Do we know when it's going to be?
Well, no one really knows. They're rumoured to have started filming already.
Yeah.
But if you look at the timeline from season 2 to season 1 to season 2, it's not soon.
Yeah.
It's end of next year, earliest.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
But that means it's probably going to be 1985. So I was looking at the kind of things that maybe we should be expecting references in this to some great films. Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Goonies actually came out in 1985. Cocoon, which I don't know if do you remember this one?
I remember seeing it on TV. It's about old people, isn't it?
It is about old people, yeah. The old people go off to space instead of getting old on Earth, which is a good idea. Weird Science, which is another John Hughes film like Breakfast Club. So that's you seen this one?
I've seen clips of it.
Yep.
You've shown me things from it. There's like a sort of bomb. There's a nuclear
bomb that appears. So this is two kids who use weird science to essentially sort of make themselves a really attractive older girlfriend. It's probably not okay now. Weird Science probably doesn't really wash up that well.
It's not very woke, is it?
2017. Teen Wolf came out in 1985, which was about Michael J. Fox becoming a wolf and also being awesome at basketball. And Nightmare on Elm Street, which was there's probably some parallels there. So that was Freddy Krueger stalking people in their dreams. So loads to draw on if the Duffer Brothers choose to do that again. But the big question, will we see 8 again? Is one of the ones we've got here. What do you think?
I like to think so, but I don't know in what capacity it will be. Like, it could be like you were saying, a spin-off, or it could be she returns to Hawkins. But I don't really see the show kind of expanding beyond. I think Hawkins is quite a special thing about the show. So I think if we started seeing different cities and stuff, it would change the atmosphere too much.
I think they've spoken about this in the last few weeks. They've sort of confirmed it's going to be 1985, but they're also very wary of the rate at which these kids are aging. So all of these kids, I think the oldest one of the main cast is Lucas, who's now 16. And so if you go side by side between the kids when they first came in season 1 and then in season 2, they look so much older. And they're very aware that they have to deal with this aging process. So maybe it does skip forward 85, maybe it goes to 86, 87, and they're off to college or something like that, and they all have to come back. Maybe that's...
I mean, that would suck.
Yeah.
If I learned anything from watching Saved by the Bell, the college years, it's that when you make it about college, it's not as good.
But the kids are going to be so old.
Yeah,
kids are going to be so
It's
old.
like Harry Potter, isn't it?
They grow up fast though, don't they? Hey? But yeah, so 8, maybe she'll be back. Maybe she was just there to show that, like, you know, 11 had to choose between family and friends and the good side, or kind of revenge and the dark side, and ultimately chose to go back and help. And go home. So maybe maybe she was just a plot device for that. Another big question. So what's next with the Mind Flayer? We sort of touched on this. So you know, all was happiness at the snowball, and then it turns out the Mind Flayer was sort of eyeballing them from outside in the Upside Down. What do we expect is going to happen with that?
I think it's meant to be ambiguous. So like they just showed it was still there in the Upside Down, but like it's still trapped there. So like unless someone unleashes it again, I think basically the Duffer Brothers wanted to leave themselves like room to do whatever they wanted. So they, like last time, they kind of set up this season quite like they couldn't really get out of the stuff they'd set in motion, like Will throwing up the little slug and all that stuff. Whereas this time, like they could pretty much go anywhere. So it could be that we never see the Mind Flayer again, or it could be that it's the main villain. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned the slug thing. So one of the other questions here is obviously Hopper took in a bit of the the bad stuff,
and so did Dustin.
So did Dustin. So what does this mean? Are they kind of they kind of ended up with bits of the Upside Down in their mouths?
It seems
I don't know how to say that really. But.
It seems like such a crazy thing to include if it doesn't mean anything long term. So it could just be. It could be nothing. I'd be surprised if they'd deliberately put this kind of misdirection in and then just decided to forget about it. Like they just left that Demodog in the fridge. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Is that still in the fridge?
Yeah.
And we didn't see it come out, so it must still be in there.
I think if it had only happened to Hopper, we wouldn't see it again. But because it happened to Dustin, they made like a big point of it happening to him. I think probably there's going to be some kind of infection.
Yeah. And I mean, this is another one of the questions really, is do they have to leave Hawkins in this one? Because Hawkins as a town is fairly buggered, I would say now.
It's like Midsummer, isn't it?
Yeah.
You wouldn't live there.
The whole of the underneath of it is filled with tunnels and, you know, nothing will grow there. Is there a suggestion that they're going to take this outside of this small town? Because the threat grew so much between season 1 and season 2. Is it kind of, you know, are we going to see it spreading elsewhere in the next time, do you think?
I think it has to. Like, I can't see a way in which another whole series is set in Hawkins where the same crazy stuff starts happening again without it feeling not as fresh and exciting as it did the last 2 times.
There's a bit of like, oh, this again as well, isn't
it?
Because like I was, you know, we talked about Dustin causing a lot of the problems, but he found what almost certainly was an alien species, especially when he'd researched it in every single book that he could find. Still kept it. Like, so here's a guy who's him and his friends nearly died because of an alien, and he sort of thought, yeah, I'll keep that
Pretty
anyway.
Cool.
There's only so many times,
I think he's a bit of an idiot for not connecting it to, you know, to
I mean,
what
he
happened.
must have done that, really, surely. Yeah.
They are kids, though.
Yeah.
Kids do stupid things. They should just call this show Stupid Things, more like.
Yeah. It's time to talk some love questions. Who will Nancy end up with? Call it.
Oh, I don't care.
Jonathan
probably, but like...
I was always team Jonathan, but...
Yeah,
poor old Steve.
She can do what she wants, you know?
Will Hopper and Joyce get together now that
Certainly, come on.
Now that Hopper's nobbled Bob?
I do care about that one.
You do care about that one?
Because that was like, it's been like, been setting it up for like 2 seasons, and then Bob came in and sort of like threw it off, and now he's dead, which is very sad, obviously, but...
that would mean, I suppose, if they really got together, that Will and Eleven would become sort of step-siblings, wouldn't they?
And they never really talked to each other yet.
Not really, no. Also, just 2 of the most damaged children that you could possibly put in a house together.
That is a tough family.
That is that's tough. And a big question, Dr. Brenner, is he still alive? So so explain a bit about this one. So we as far as we were aware, he got eaten by a Demogorgon at the end of season 1.
Yeah. He was Papa, so 11 sort of tormentor, but also father figure. And when she saw him again, she was horrified, and Callie was like, he's still alive. And she seems to know, seems to have the intel, you know, so I think probably 11 will go and look for him in the next season. Otherwise, why would they?
Yeah, well, he featured in her vision of what she was most terrified of. And like, I think he was really great. I think he was a really terrifying baddie. More so on like a human level, because a big monster is just a big monster. But this guy is crazy and manipulative.
Yeah.
And so I hope that he comes back. But of course, Hawkins' lab is now shut. We're told in like the last few scenes. So like again, goes back to your point. How can they keep going in Hawkins once that lab is closed?
And the gate's closed. And what's the point of closing it if it's just going to open again?
I think Brenner is still knocking about.
Okay. Are there any other big questions that we're left with? I think that was it, wasn't it?
So that's
I guess, is there going to be a spin-off? Is 11 going to stick around? That kind of stuff. Do you think there's going to be a spin-off before there's a new series of Stranger Things 3?
I don't think so. I think it'll be too soon.
I think they've probably got enough on their plates trying to make a season 3 before the voracious fans. I mean, it's nice these things coming out in one go on Netflix, isn't it? But you I kind of miss having been able to sort of stretch out over a few weeks. Like, that's one of the nice things about Game of Thrones, I think, is that sort of if you have a little period where you're watching it rather than this where it's sort of a race. But there it is. We've ruined it for ourselves.
Yeah.
If you've watched this without watching Stranger Things 2, you've also just ruined it all for yourselves. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for sticking with us, if indeed you're still there. And if you were that's it really.
Yeah.
So from Tom, from Larry, from me, from Alex and Hannah, thank you very much for watching, and see you in what?
2 and a bit years.
12 to 18 months. 2
in a bit years. Cheers.